The cold wind cut through the night like a knife. It was so strong that it lifted the corners of our torn blanket and made the old hut shake. I could hear the cries of my younger siblings as we huddled together on the wet clay floor of the brickyard. Our clothes were soaked, our stomachs empty, and our hearts filled with fear. I was only 10 years old. Yet, that night, I felt like the mother of 5 children. Lucy, John, Peter, Rose, and baby Anna. We had no one else. Our father had vanished months ago, and our mother. She was too sick to save us when the men came. Now here we were, far away from home, forced to work like grown-ups, hungry and freezing in a place that smelled of clay and smoke. The rain poured harder, slamming the roof made of broken sheets of iron. Water dripped down the walls, forming tiny puddles around our feet. Baby Anna shivered in my arms, her lips blue from the cold. Lucy whispered through tears, "Mary, I'm hungry and cold." I pulled them close, wrapping my arms around them, though my body was shaking too. "Hold on," I whispered. "Hold on. We will not die tonight." That was when I remembered the oil lamp. It was the last thing my mother gave me before we were taken away. She had pressed it into my hands, her eyes weak but full of love. "Mary," she said, "when all hope is gone, light this lamp. It will guide you. It carries my prayers. Promise me you'll keep it safe." And I did. I had kept it hidden in a small bag under my clothes every day since. Now, in that freezing night, I took it out. My hands trembled as I searched for a matchstick. We only had one left. If it failed, we would be left in darkness forever. I struck it with my last strength. Scratch. A tiny flame appeared. I held my breath and touched it to the lamp's wick. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the lamp began to glow. The warm light spread through the room like magic. It chased away the shadows, made the water on the floor sparkle, and filled our hearts with a strange peace. My siblings stopped crying. Even baby Anna smiled weakly. But as the light grew stronger, something strange happened. The wind outside howled louder. And then, in the middle of the storm, we heard it. Footsteps. They were slow, heavy, coming closer. Thud, thud, thud. We froze. Lucy clung to me, whispering, "Mary, who's that?" I didn't answer. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst. The footsteps stopped right outside our hut. Then came a knock. Once, twice, 3 times. I held the lamp tighter. "Who's there?" I shouted, but the wind swallowed my voice. The door creaked. Slowly, very slowly, it began to open. Cliffhanger moment, the shadow appears in the doorway. Now, let me tell you how we ended up in that terrible place. Life was not always like this. Before the brickyard, before the hunger and the cold, we lived in a small village surrounded by green hills and tall mango trees. We were poor, yes, but we were happy. Father worked at the brick kiln in the village. He came home every evening covered in clay but smiling. Mother sold vegetables and cooked us sweet porridge with honey. We didn't have much, but we had laughter. We played by the stream. We ran barefoot on the soft earth. We sat under the stars, listening to Mother tell stories about hope and light. Then one day, Father didn't come home. We waited all night. The next morning, Mother went to the kiln to look for him, but no one had seen him. Days turned into weeks. Rumors spread that he ran away because of debt. Others whispered he was taken by robbers. Mother cried every night, calling his name. Without Father, everything fell apart. We had no money. Mother tried to work twice as hard, but her body grew weak. Soon, she started coughing blood. I would bring her water and hold her hand while she whispered prayers. Then, one morning, 3 men arrived at our door. They wore rough coats and carried sticks. One of them, a tall man with a scar on his face, said, "Your husband owes money. Since he is gone, you and your children must pay by working." Mother fell to her knees, crying, "They are just children. Please. I will find another way." But they didn't care. They grabbed us by the arms, ignoring our screams. As they dragged us away, Mother ran inside and came out with the lamp. She pressed it into my hand and whispered, "Remember, Mary, this lamp will protect you." Then they took us away. The journey to the brickyard was long. We rode in a wooden cart, bumping over rough roads. The men shouted at us to stay quiet. My siblings cried the whole way. I held them close, trying not to cry myself. When we arrived, I saw endless rows of clay bricks, piles of mud, and smoky chimneys. Children and adults were working in silence, their faces sad and tired. We were given a small hut made of old bricks and dry grass. No beds. No blankets. Only the floor. That night, we slept hungry. Every morning, a whistle blew before sunrise. We were forced to carry clay, shape bricks, and stack them in the sun. The overseer, Mr. James, shouted if we slowed down. Sometimes, he used a stick to beat us. The food they gave us was a small piece of bread and watery soup. We were always hungry. Sometimes, I gave my portion to baby Anna. Days passed like that, cold mornings, hot afternoons, and lonely nights. We tried to stay strong, but the pain was too much. Lucy cried often. John asked if Mother was coming for us. I told them yes, even though I wasn't sure. Then came the stormy night. The sky roared. The rain flooded our hut. The wind blew so hard it nearly tore off the roof. We shivered in the dark, unable to sleep. I thought we wouldn't make it till morning. That was when I remembered the lamp. Lighting it was like lighting a piece of hope. When the warm glow filled the room, it gave us courage. We sat around it, holding hands. I whispered a prayer. "God, if you can hear me, please send help." That was when the footsteps came. Slow. Steady. Getting closer. My heart beat faster. The light flickered. The sound stopped at our door. The handle turned. The door creaked open, and a shadow stepped inside. I gasped. My siblings screamed. The light shone on the figure, and I saw a man's face, dripping with rain. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice shaking. He didn't answer. He just looked at the lamp and smiled. Extreme cliffhanger ending for Chapter 1. Lesson from Chapter 1. Even in the darkest times, a small light, faith, love, or hope, can guide us. My mother's oil lamp was more than a gift. It was a symbol of courage, reminding me that light always defeats darkness. But who was the man in the doorway? Was he a friend come to help us? Or another enemy sent to hurt us? We would soon find out. The door swung open slowly, and the wind howled through the cracks. The oil lamp flickered, casting long shadows on the mud walls. My heart pounded as I stared at the figure standing in the doorway. Rainwater dripped from his torn coat, and his face was hidden under a wide hat. My siblings clung to me, trembling. "Who are you?" I asked again, my voice shaking. The man stepped closer. The light from the lamp touched his face. Dark, wrinkled, with eyes that looked tired but kind. He raised his hands gently and whispered, "Don't be afraid." I didn't know if I should believe him. No one ever came to help children at the brickyard. Strangers meant trouble. But there was something about his eyes, like he understood pain. "Please," I said, "we don't have anything to give you. We're just trying to survive." The man sighed. "I know," he said softly. "I used to be here too." That caught my breath. "You worked here?" He nodded. "Many years ago. When I was your age." I ran away, and I've been helping children like you ever since. I come at night so the overseer doesn't see me." My siblings' eyes widened. Lucy whispered, "Are you here to take us home?" The man's eyes filled with sadness. "I wish I could. But this place is guarded. If you try to leave, they will punish you. You must be careful." He looked at the lamp in my hands. "Where did you get that?" "My mother gave it to me," I said. "She said it would protect us." He smiled weakly. "It's more than just a lamp, child. It's a symbol of hope. Keep it burning. The overseers fear what they can't control, especially hope." Then he reached into his bag and pulled out a small cloth bundle. "Take this," he said. Inside were pieces of dry bread and 2 roasted yams. Tears filled my eyes. "Thank you," I whispered. He nodded. "Eat it slowly. I will try to bring more next week." "Will you come back?" John asked quickly. "Yes," the man said. "But promise me you'll stay strong. Take care of each other. Never lose your light." He turned toward the door, ready to leave. "Wait," I called out. "What's your name?" He paused. "Daniel," he said. "Just Daniel." Then he stepped into the storm and disappeared into the night. We ate the food he gave us in silence, sharing every bite. It wasn't much, but it tasted like hope. The lamp burned beside us, warm and bright. For the first time in weeks, we slept without fear. But peace never lasted long at the Brickyard. The next morning before sunrise, the overseer, Mr. James, blew his whistle. "Up, all of you," he barked. His face was red with anger. "Work starts now." We dragged ourselves out into the cold. My arms ached, my legs were weak, but I couldn't let my siblings see my fear. We worked side by side, molding wet clay, stacking heavy bricks, and carrying them to the drying yard. The ground was slippery, and my bare feet were bleeding from sharp stones. At noon, Lucy stumbled and dropped a brick. It cracked in 2. Mr. James saw it and stormed over. "You useless child!" he shouted and raised his stick. I jumped in front of her. "Please, sir. It was an accident." But his eyes burned with anger. "Then you take her punishment." He struck me across the back. Pain shot through my body. I bit my lip and didn't cry. I knew if I cried, he would hit harder. My siblings gasped, and Lucy sobbed, "I'm sorry, Mary." "It's okay," I whispered through tears. "It's okay." When he finally walked away, my back felt like fire. But I held my head high. I couldn't let them see me weak. That night, we gathered around the lamp again. I told my siblings stories about home, about the mango tree where we used to play, about mother's laughter, about the songs father used to sing. It made us smile even for a little while. Days passed. The man named Daniel returned every week, bringing a little food and whispering words of encouragement. Sometimes he told us about the world outside the Brickyard, the big markets, the shining city lights, and the people who still cared. "Remember," he told me one night, "darkness cannot win if you keep your light alive." But one evening, something terrible happened. It was a quiet night. The sky was clear, and the stars were bright. We sat near the lamp, eating the last piece of yam Daniel brought. Suddenly, we heard footsteps. Fast, angry ones. The door burst open. Mr. James stood there, holding a torch. His eyes flashed with fury. "What's this?" he roared. "Where did you get food? Who has been helping you?" We froze. I tried to hide the lamp behind me, but he saw the glow. He stepped closer and snatched it from my hands. "An oil lamp," he sneered. "You think this will save you? This is useless." "No," I cried. "Please give it back. It's from my mother." He laughed cruelly. You don't need hope here. You need obedience. And before I could move, he threw the lamp to the ground. It shattered. Oil spilled across the floor. The flame flickered, then went out. My siblings screamed. I fell to my knees, tears streaming down my face. The one thing my mother gave me, the only light we had, was gone. Mr. James kicked the broken pieces aside. Next time I see you with anything not given by me, you'll regret it, he said, then stormed out. The room fell silent. Darkness wrapped around us like a heavy blanket. I held the broken lamp pieces and whispered, "I'm sorry, Mother. I couldn't protect it." Lucy cried softly. John said, "What will we do now? The light is gone." I looked at them and tried to smile, though my heart was breaking. "The lamp is broken," I said quietly, "but the light it gave us is still inside us. We won't give up." That night, we slept in darkness for the first time. The cold felt colder, the silence louder. And when morning came, a new fear awaited us, because Mr. James wasn't done. He called me out in front of the other children and said, "Since you think you can hide things from me, you will pay." He pointed toward the far side of the yard where a deep clay pit waited. "You'll dig alone tonight until sunrise," he ordered. "No food. No rest." My siblings cried out, "Please, don't take her." But he pushed me forward. "Work or starve," he shouted. As the sun set, I was left in the pit, cold and hungry, surrounded by darkness. I looked up at the sky, praying for strength. Then, in the distance, I saw a faint glow, soft and golden, shining toward me from the broken lamp we left behind. I blinked, wondering if it was real. The lamp was shattered, yet its light still burned. My heart raced. Was it a miracle? Or something else? Extreme cliffhanger ending Chapter 2. Lesson from Chapter 2. Even when your light is taken away, true strength comes from within. The flame that burns inside your heart can never be broken if you refuse to give up. But what was that strange glow from the broken lamp? Was it a sign from Mother? Or something beyond our understanding? The answer would change everything that came next. The night was dark and silent except for the soft sound of crickets and the rustle of wind through the brickyard. I sat alone in the cold pit, my hands numb from digging, my stomach empty, my eyes filled with tears. The sky above looked endless, and I felt so small, just a 10-year-old girl, punished for trying to protect her family and a lamp that once gave us hope. But then, I saw it again. A faint golden light shimmered from the distance, coming from the direction of our hut. At first, I thought it was my imagination. How could the lamp glow when it had been shattered by Mr. James? I wiped my eyes, blinked hard, and looked again. The light was still there, soft, warm, and steady. My heart began to race. I stood up slowly, staring into the darkness. The glow seemed to call me, whispering, "Don't give up." With trembling legs, I climbed out of the pit and started walking toward it. The ground was muddy, and I slipped more than once, but I didn't stop. The light grew brighter as I got closer. It led me straight to our small hut. When I reached the door, I paused. Inside, my siblings were sleeping, huddled together for warmth. And there, on the floor where the lamp had shattered, lay the broken pieces, still glowing softly, as if the flame inside refused to die. Tears filled my eyes again. I knelt beside it, touched the cracked glass and whispered, "Mother, are you watching us?" Suddenly, I felt a strange warmth flow through my hand into my heart. It wasn't fire, it was comfort, peace, hope. That night, I realized something powerful. The lamp was more than just an object. It carried my mother's love, her prayers, and the strength she gave me. Even broken, it refused to stop shining, just like I must refuse to stop fighting. When morning came, I gathered my siblings and told them what I saw. The lamp still shines, I said softly. Even broken, it hasn't given up. That means we must not give up either. They stared at me with wide eyes. John whispered, "But what can we do? Mr. James will hurt us again." I took a deep breath. "Then we will be clever. We will work hard, stay quiet, and wait for the right moment." Daniel said there's always a way out. We just have to keep our light burning inside. That day, we went to work as usual, shaping clay under the hot sun. My back still ached from the beating, but my heart was stronger. Every time I felt weak, I thought of the glowing lamp and heard my mother's voice whispering, "Don't let the darkness win." At noon, Daniel came again, sneaking between the rows of bricks when the overseer wasn't looking. He saw my bruises and gasped. "What happened?" I told him about Mr. James breaking the lamp. His eyes darkened with anger. But when I told him that it still glowed afterward, he froze. "What did you say?" he asked, voice low. "It shines even now," I said. "At night. Like it's alive." Daniel looked at me for a long moment. Then he whispered, "That lamp belonged to your mother, didn't it?" "Yes," I said. "She gave it to me the day we were taken." He nodded slowly. "I knew your mother. Years ago, before all this. She helped feed hungry children when I worked here. She was a kind woman with great faith." He looked at me with tears in his eyes. "Her love lives in you, Mary. The light is her spirit telling you to keep going." His words gave me strength. But Daniel also brought bad news. "I overheard the overseer talking," he said. "He plans to sell some of you to another brickyard next week. Farther away, even harsher." My heart sank. "Sell us? To where?" "I don't know," Daniel said. "But you must be ready. I'll try to find help, but it won't be easy." That night, I told my siblings. Fear filled the hut again. Rose started crying. "I don't want to go to another place." I hugged her tight. "We won't. I promise. We'll stay together. Somehow." As darkness fell, the lamp's broken glow returned, shining faintly across the floor. I took it as a sign. Maybe the time to escape was near. The next day, Mr. James ordered us to work extra hours. He shouted at everyone, saying new buyers were coming to inspect the workers. He wanted everything perfect. When night came, Daniel returned again with a small piece of paper and a piece of charcoal. He whispered, "Draw a map of the brickyard. Mark where the fences are weak. I'll show it to my friend in the city, someone who rescues children like you." I drew quickly by the light of the broken lamp. Daniel nodded and said, "Stay strong. I'll return soon. When the time comes, you'll know." After he left, I sat with my siblings and prayed. "Mother, if you can hear me, show us the way. Keep us safe. Help us escape this place." As we prayed, the lamp's glow grew brighter than ever before, so bright that the whole room was filled with golden light. It was warm, gentle, and full of peace. My siblings gasped in wonder. Then we heard a sudden noise, the sound of footsteps outside. They were fast, heavy, and angry. Someone banged on the door. "Open up," Mr. James shouted. "What's going on in there? Why is there light?" My heart leapt. He must not see the lamp glowing. He would destroy it again, or worse, punish us. I whispered to the others, "Hide the pieces. Quickly." We gathered the broken lamp and covered it under an old cloth just as the door burst open. Mr. James stepped inside, holding a torch. His eyes scanned the room. "What are you hiding?" he barked. "Nothing, sir," I said, trying to stay calm. "We were just praying." He sneered. "Praying won't save you. You work when I say. You sleep when I allow. Remember that." He stomped out, slamming the door. We stayed silent for a long time, our hearts racing. Then I looked at the covered lamp and whispered, "Mother's light protected us again." But I knew the danger was growing. If Daniel didn't come back soon, we might be sent away forever. Still, I refused to lose hope. I looked at my siblings and said, "We will survive this. We will find freedom. And when we do, we will help other children too." They nodded, holding my hands. Together we whispered, "Light never dies." That night, as I drifted to sleep beside them, I saw the faint glow from under the cloth, soft, steady, and full of promise. I didn't know how, but deep inside, I believed that miracle light would lead us to freedom. And soon, something would happen that would change everything forever. Because the very next morning, strange men arrived at the Brickyard, and one of them was looking for us. Even when the world tries to break you, your light can still shine. Hope is not about what you see, it's about what you believe. Never give up, even when everything seems lost. If this story touched your heart, remember, there are many children in the world still searching for their light. Be someone's lamp. Show kindness. Share hope. And stay tuned for the next chapter, where Mary discovers who the stranger is and how her mother's light might save them all. Don't miss it. Your heart will thank you. The night after we found the old woman's cottage, the cold winds blew stronger than ever. My siblings and I huddled together near the oil lamp, its small flame flickering bravely against the darkness. The woman, whom we later learned was called Grandma Mary, sat beside the fire, stirring a pot of thin soup. Her wrinkled hands moved slowly, and her eyes watched us with deep sorrow. "You children have been through too much," she whispered. "But you are safe tonight." Her words were kind, yet my heart trembled. I didn't know how long we could stay there. I feared she might send us away the next morning. The Brickyard was far behind us now, but so was home. Mama's voice echoed in my mind. "Keep the lamp safe. It will guide you." We ate the soup quietly, each spoonful warming our empty bellies. For the first time in days, we slept on straw mats near the fireplace. It wasn't soft, but it felt like heaven after the cold floor of the Brickyard. I held the oil lamp close to my chest as if it were Mama herself. When morning came, we woke to the smell of porridge. Grandma Mary had made it from the little she had. "Eat, children," she said. "Then tell me everything." So I told her how our father died, how Mama became sick, how the landlord took us away because we couldn't pay the rent, and how we were forced to work at the Brickyard, carrying heavy loads and sleeping hungry. I told her about the oil lamp Mama gave me before we were taken away, and how it had lit our way through every dark night. Grandma Mary wiped her eyes with her scarf. "You poor children," she said softly. "The world has been unkind to you, but kindness still lives." Her words made me want to cry, but instead, I held my siblings' hands and promised them we would be strong. For the next few days, we stayed with Grandma Mary. She showed us how to fetch water from the stream, gather firewood, and cook simple meals. We laughed again, something we hadn't done in a long time. My youngest sister, Lucy, even sang a song while washing dishes. For a moment, life felt normal again. But deep inside, I knew we couldn't stay forever. Grandma Mary was old and frail. She lived alone and had little food. One evening, as I helped her fix the roof, she spoke gently. "James, I see the strength in your eyes. You remind me of my son who went to the city and never returned." I didn't know what to say. I only knew I didn't want to leave her. Then one night, while we were asleep, we heard footsteps outside. They were heavy and quick. I grabbed the oil lamp and whispered, "Wake up!" The door burst open, and a man stepped in, holding a stick. "You children. You ran from the Brickyard. You belong to the master." My heart froze. It was one of the Brickyard guards. He must have followed our tracks. Grandma Mary shouted. "Leave them alone." But the man pushed her aside. My siblings screamed and clung to me. I held up the oil lamp. "Stay back," I cried. The flame glowed brightly, casting shadows on the walls. The man sneered. "A lamp won't save you." But suddenly, the wind outside grew strong, and the door slammed shut behind him. The lamp's light seemed to shine brighter, almost blinding. The man stumbled backward, tripping over a stool. He cursed, scrambled to his feet, and ran out into the night, terrified. We sat frozen in silence. Grandma Mary held her chest, breathing hard. "That lamp, it's not ordinary," she whispered. "It carries your mother's spirit." I looked at the flickering light. Could it be true? Was Mama watching over us through this lamp? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. It had saved us once again. The next morning, Grandma Mary said, "You must leave soon before they come back. I will help you find a safer place." My siblings and I packed what little we had. The oil lamp was the first thing I wrapped in cloth and placed in my bag. Before we left, Grandma Mary hugged us one by one. "Remember," she said, "kindness and courage will guide you. Don't lose hope." Tears streamed down my face. "Thank you, Grandma," I whispered. We set out again, walking along the dusty path. We didn't know where it would lead, but we trusted the lamp to guide us. As the sun began to set, we reached a crossroads. My brother Peter asked, "Which way now?" I lifted the lamp. Its flame flickered toward the left path. "That way," I said. We followed the light. Hours later, the air turned cold. The wind howled like a hungry beast. We shivered and held each other close. Suddenly, Lucy stumbled. "I'm tired," she cried. "I can't walk anymore." I lifted her onto my back and said, "Hold on. We're almost there." But before we could take another step, we heard voices behind us, angry, loud, and growing closer. I turned and saw two shadows running toward us. It was the guards again. "Run!" I shouted. We dashed down the path, our feet pounding the ground. The oil lamp swung in my hand, lighting the way. But the guards were faster. One of them yelled, "Stop or we'll catch you." My heart raced. I couldn't let them take us back. I couldn't fail my siblings. Ahead, I saw a small wooden bridge crossing a river. We sprinted toward it. The bridge creaked under our weight. Just as we reached the middle, one of the guards grabbed Peter's arm. Peter screamed. I turned, holding up the oil lamp once more. "Let him go," I shouted. The flame suddenly grew taller, blazing like a torch. The guard screamed and stumbled back, clutching his face. The other man froze, fear in his eyes. "Witchcraft," he cried. "Let's go." And they ran off into the dark. We stood trembling on the bridge, gasping for breath. I hugged Peter tightly. "It's okay. They're gone." But as I looked down, I noticed the bridge swaying dangerously. The old ropes were snapping under the weight. One more step, and it might collapse into the raging river below. We were trapped in the middle of the bridge, the wind howling around us, the lamp flickering wildly. I didn't know whether to move forward or stay still. The next moment, one of the wooden planks cracked loudly beneath Lucy's foot, and the bridge began to give way. If you're touched by this story, don't miss the next chapter. Will the children survive the collapsing bridge? Will the oil lamp save them again? Stay tuned to find out. The crack beneath Lucy's foot echoed like thunder in the night. I froze, my heart pounding so loudly it drowned the roar of the river below. The bridge swayed violently, and the ropes groaned under our weight. Lucy screamed, clutching my arm. Peter shouted, "James! It's breaking!" I held the oil lamp tightly in one hand and reached for Lucy with the other. "Don't move. I cried. Everyone, hold on to the ropes. The planks beneath us shifted. I felt the bridge tilt. One wrong move, and we would fall into the dark, rushing water below. The guards were gone, but the danger was far from over. The oil lamp flickered madly as the wind tore through the valley. For a terrifying moment, I thought the flame would die, but then, it steadied, glowing brighter, as if whispering to me, "Don't give up." "Lucy, step slowly toward me," I said, trying to stay calm though my legs trembled. "One step at a time." She nodded through her tears. The wood creaked under her small feet. Peter and Sarah gripped the rope rails tightly, eyes wide with fear. My arms burned with effort as I pulled Lucy closer. Just as she reached me, a plank behind her snapped completely and fell into the river with a splash. My breath caught. If she had been 1 second slower, she would have been gone. We inched forward, hearts racing. The bridge rocked, threatening to throw us off. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we leapt onto solid ground. The moment my feet touched the earth, my knees gave way. I held Lucy close as we all burst into tears. The lamp's flame danced gently between us, glowing warm and steady. It had saved us again. "We made it," I whispered. "Mama's lamp saved us." Peter wiped his tears. "But where do we go now?" I looked ahead. The path led into a thick forest. The trees loomed tall and dark, their branches twisting like arms in the night. We were exhausted, hungry, and shivering. But we had no choice. The forest was our only shelter. We walked silently, guided by the lamp's light. Each step sank into damp earth. The air smelled of rain and old leaves. Owls hooted in the distance, and the shadows seemed to move around us. "James, I'm scared," whispered Sarah. "I know," I said gently, "but remember what Mama said. The lamp will guide us." We found a hollow under a large tree and huddled together. I set the lamp beside us, and its glow chased away the darkness. Though the night was cold, its warmth wrapped around us like a mother's embrace. I didn't sleep much. My mind was full of worries. What if the guards returned? What if the forest had wild animals? What if we ran out of strength? When dawn came, we followed the river through the forest. Birds chirped, and sunlight peeked through the leaves. It felt like a new beginning. But our stomachs growled painfully. We hadn't eaten since Grandma Mary's porridge. By midday, Lucy stumbled. "I can't walk anymore," she whispered weakly. I knelt beside her. "Hold on, Lucy. We'll find food." Just then, Peter pointed ahead. "Look. Smoke." We hurried toward it, our hearts lifting with hope. Through the trees, we saw a small village. Children were playing outside mud houses, and women were cooking over fires. We approached slowly, nervous but desperate. A kind-looking woman noticed us and gasped, "Oh my goodness! Where are your parents?" Tears filled my eyes. "Our mother is sick." We were taken to the brickyard, but we ran away. "Please, we're hungry." The woman's face softened. "Come, children. You need food." She led us into her home and gave us bowls of warm porridge. The taste was heavenly. My siblings devoured it eagerly, and I whispered, "Thank you, ma'am." She smiled sadly. "You poor things. The brickyard is a cruel place. No child should suffer like that." We stayed with her for a few days. Her name was Mrs. Grace, and she had 2 children of her own. She gave us clean clothes and let us rest. For the first time in a long while, I felt safe. But deep inside, I knew this peace might not last. The brickyard owners were cruel. They would come looking for us. And we couldn't burden Mrs. Grace's family for long. One evening, as I was helping her fetch water, she asked softly, "James, what will you do now?" I looked at the oil lamp flickering in my hand. I don't know. But I'll protect my siblings. No matter what. She placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. You are very brave. Your mother would be proud. That night, as we slept in her small house, a sudden pounding on the door woke us. Open up, a deep voice shouted. We're looking for runaway children. My heart stopped. Peter gasped. Lucy began to cry. Mrs. Grace whispered, Hide quickly. We scrambled under the bed, clutching the lamp. The door creaked open, and heavy boots stomped inside. Where are they? The voice demanded. 5 children from the Brickyard. They came this way. Mrs. Grace's voice shook. I haven't seen any children like that. The man growled. We'll search every house. I held my breath as footsteps drew closer. The lamp in my hands flickered softly, as if sensing the danger. I prayed silently, Please, Mama. Hide us. The man's shadow fell across the floor. He bent down, eyes scanning under the bed. My heart nearly stopped. His face was inches away. Then, just as his eyes met mine, the oil lamp's flame flared brightly, blinding him. He cursed and stumbled back. What was that? He cried. Mrs. Grace gasped. The spirits. Leave my house. The man shouted something to his companions and rushed out, terrified. We stayed hidden until the sound of footsteps faded into the night. When we finally crawled out, Mrs. Grace hugged us tightly. That lamp saved you again, she whispered. Tears filled my eyes. I didn't know how, but the lamp truly carried a power beyond understanding. A power of love, faith, and protection. But even though we escaped this time, I knew we couldn't stay here much longer. The Brickyard men wouldn't stop searching. As I looked into the lamp's glowing light, I whispered, Mama, where should we go next? The flame flickered gently, pointing toward the forest once again. My heart ached, but I knew what we had to do. The next morning, we said goodbye to Mrs. Grace. Thank you, I said. You saved our lives. She pressed a small loaf of bread into my hands. Take this, and never lose hope. The world is cruel, but light will always guide the brave. We walked away, holding hands, the lamp leading us forward into the unknown. But as we reached the edge of the forest, we heard a shout behind us. There they are. 3 men from the Brickyard were running toward us with ropes and sticks. We turned and ran for our lives, the lamp glowing brighter than ever. The shouts behind us pierced the air like thunder. Catch them! The men roared, their footsteps pounding closer and closer. My heart raced as I clutched the oil lamp in one hand and Lucy's small hand in the other. My siblings and I ran with every bit of strength we had left, the cold air biting at our faces, our bare feet slapping against the dirt path. The forest loomed ahead, dark, thick, and wild. This way, I shouted, leading the way through the tall trees. Branches scratched our arms and faces, but we didn't stop. The oil lamp swung wildly, its light flickering, guiding us deeper into the shadows. Behind us, the men's angry voices echoed. They can't escape. Spread out. We darted between trees, ducking under low branches, gasping for breath. Peter stumbled, and I grabbed him before he fell. Don't stop, I urged. We're almost safe. But the forest grew darker, and the ground turned muddy and uneven. Lucy slipped and cried out softly. I lifted her onto my back, pushing forward even though my legs trembled with exhaustion. The men were getting closer. I could hear their heavy boots crushing leaves and twigs. My chest burned, but I refused to slow down. I wouldn't let them take us back to that horrible Brickyard. Suddenly, a loud snap echoed behind us. One of the men had stepped on a dry branch. There. I see them. I turned sharply to the left, following a narrow path that wound down toward the sound of rushing water. The lamp's glow reflected off something ahead. It was a stream, wide and fast. Peter's eyes widened. James, we can't cross that. We have to, I said firmly. It's the only way. We reached the bank and looked around desperately. There was no bridge, just slippery stones scattered across the current. I tightened my grip on Lucy and took a deep breath. Follow me. Step where I step. The cold water bit into my ankles as I stepped onto the first stone. The current tugged hard, threatening to pull us in. My heart pounded as we hopped from one rock to another. Peter helped Sarah, holding her hand tightly. But halfway across, Lucy slipped from my back with a scream. Lucy! I cried, lunging after her. She splashed into the water, her arms flailing. The stream carried her away fast. Without thinking, I jumped in. The water was icy and strong, dragging me down. I kicked hard, reaching for her. Lucy! Grab my hand. Her small fingers brushed mine, and I caught her. With all my strength, I pulled her close and held the oil lamp high above the water. Miraculously, its flame didn't die. It burned brighter, casting golden light across the dark stream. The glow revealed a shallow part of the river ahead. Struggling against the current, I dragged Lucy toward it. My siblings followed, terrified but determined. Step by step, we fought our way out, gasping as we reached the far bank. We collapsed on the ground, soaked and shivering. But we were safe, for now. The men stood on the other side, shouting angrily. They didn't dare enter the raging water. We'll find another way, one of them yelled. You can't run forever. I hugged Lucy tightly. She was crying softly, her face pale. It's okay, I whispered. You're safe. The lamp saved us again. The men's voices faded as we stumbled deeper into the forest, away from the stream. Our clothes clung to our skin, and the night grew colder. We needed warmth, shelter, something to survive the night. As we walked, I spotted a small cave hidden behind thick bushes. Over here, I said. We pushed through the branches and stepped inside. The air was damp but still. I set the oil lamp down, and its gentle glow filled the space. We huddled together, trying to dry our clothes near the warm light. My siblings fell asleep one by one, exhausted from the chase. I sat awake, holding the lamp close, whispering, "Thank you, Mama. You're still with us." I must have dozed off, because I woke to a strange noise, a low growl echoing from the entrance of the cave. My eyes snapped open. The lamp flickered, casting long shadows on the walls. I looked toward the sound, and froze. A pair of glowing eyes stared back at me from the darkness. A wild animal, maybe a wolf or a stray dog, stood at the entrance, its teeth bared. I gently shook Peter. "Wake up. Don't move," I whispered. The animal stepped closer, sniffing the air. My heart raced. We had no weapons, no food, just the oil lamp. The flame trembled as the creature growled again. I held the lamp up, praying silently. "Please, Mama, protect us." Suddenly, the flame flared with brilliant light, brighter than it had ever been before. The entire cave glowed like daylight. The animal yelped, turned, and bolted into the forest, disappearing into the darkness. I sat frozen, breathing hard, clutching the lamp. Then I whispered, "Thank you." When morning came, the forest was quiet and still. We stepped out of the cave, the sun shining weakly through the trees. Our clothes were dry, and though we were still hungry, we were alive. Sarah pointed ahead. "James, look." In the distance, smoke rose from a chimney. A small village lay beyond the forest, with fields and huts and people walking about. Hope stirred in my heart. Maybe this was where we could finally rest. We followed the path toward the village, our steps slow but steady. As we reached the edge, An old man carrying a basket of yams saw us. His eyes widened in shock. Children. Alone. Where are your parents? Tears welled in my eyes as I answered. We've been running, from the brickyard. The man set his basket down and knelt before us. You poor souls, he murmured. Come with me. You're safe now. He led us to his home, a small but warm hut. His wife, a gentlewoman, gasped when she saw us. Oh Lord! These children are starving. They gave us food, soft yams and warm soup, and let us rest by their fire. My siblings smiled for the first time in days. Lucy hugged the oil lamp as she drifted to sleep, whispering, Mama's light saved us. The old man sat beside me. You've been through much, he said. But you're strong. Perhaps this is where your journey changes. For the first time, I dared to hope we might truly find peace. But deep down, I knew the men from the brickyard might still be searching. Our story wasn't over yet. As night fell, I gazed into the lamp's flame and whispered, Where will you lead us next, Mama? The flame flickered gently, as if answering, Stay brave, my son. The journey is not done. But just as I began to close my eyes, a loud knock rattled the door. The knock came again, loud, heavy, and urgent. The sound shook the small hut like thunder. My eyes flew open, and I clutched the oil lamp tightly. My siblings stirred awake, their faces filled with fear. Who could that be? Whispered Peter, his voice trembling. The old man, Mr. David, rose slowly from his stool, his eyes narrowing. Stay quiet, he whispered, moving toward the door. His wife, Mrs. Esther, gathered my younger siblings close, her arms wrapping around them protectively. Another knock, harder this time. Open the door, a deep voice commanded. My heart pounded in my chest. I recognized that voice. It was one of the brickyard men. They had found us. Before Mr. David could open the door, I whispered urgently, We need to hide. He turned to me with a grave look. Behind the mat, he said quickly, pointing to a small back room covered by a thick woven mat. We hurried inside, clutching each other, the oil lamp glowing softly in my hand. Mr. David opened the door. Who is it? He asked, his voice calm. Two men stood outside, tall, rough, and angry. One of them shouted, We're looking for runaway children. 5 of them. They escaped from the brickyard. Mr. David frowned. Children. I've seen none around here. The men pushed past him, scanning the room. One of them sneered. We've been tracking them for days. They came through this forest. If you're hiding them, old man, you'll regret it. My siblings huddled behind me, trembling. The lamp's flame flickered weakly, and I prayed silently, Please, Mama, don't let them find us. The men stomped closer to the mat. My breath caught. I could see their shadows on the wall. One reached out his hand to pull the mat aside. And just then, the oil lamp's flame flared brilliantly, flooding the small room with golden light. It shone through the cracks in the mat, brighter than the sun. The men stumbled back, shouting in terror. What is that? Mr. David stepped forward, raising his hands. Leave this place. You bring evil with you. The men covered their eyes, muttering about curses and spirits. We'll come back, one stammered, and they fled into the night. The light slowly faded, and the lamp returned to its gentle glow. We crawled out from behind the mat, shaking but unharmed. Mrs. Esther placed a trembling hand on her chest. That lamp. It's no ordinary flame. I nodded, my eyes wide. It's from our mother. She gave it to me before we were taken. It has saved us many times. Mr. David sighed deeply. The world is full of darkness, child. But you carry light. Never let it go. That night, we slept close together by the fire. Though fear still lingered in our hearts, we felt safe within the walls of kindness. The next morning, the village gathered after hearing about the strange men. Some wanted to report them to the town chief. Others said the Brickyard owners had been exploiting children for years, taking orphans and poor families' kids to work without pay. An elderly woman shook her head. It's wickedness. These children must not go back. The chief of the village, a wise man named Chief Samuel, called for us. We stood before him nervously, clutching the lamp. He studied us quietly before speaking. You have suffered greatly, he said, his deep voice gentle. But your suffering ends here. You are safe in this village. Tears filled my eyes. Thank you, sir. He turned to Mr. David. Take care of them until we find their mother or a proper home. Mr. David bowed. I will, Chief. 4 days, we lived peacefully in the village. We helped with chores, fetched water, and played with other children. For the first time, we laughed freely. Lucy even sang again. But though we were happy, I couldn't shake the feeling that our journey wasn't over. The oil lamp still glowed brightly every night, as if waiting for something. One evening, as the sun set over the fields, I sat outside with the lamp in my lap. The flame danced gently in the twilight. I whispered, Mama, are you still out there? Will we ever see you again? The flame flickered once, twice, then suddenly grew brighter, pointing east. I gasped. You want us to go? Peter came outside. What's wrong, James? The lamp, I said softly. It's showing us a direction. He frowned. But why? We're safe here. I don't know, I admitted. But every time we followed it, it saved us. Maybe Mama is waiting. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the lamp, its glow steady and strong. By morning, I made a decision. We have to go, I told Mr. David and Mrs. Esther. The lamp is guiding us. Mrs. Esther's eyes filled with tears. You've been like our own children. Mr. David nodded slowly. If your heart tells you to follow the light, then go. But remember, you are never alone. They packed food and warm clothes for us, hugging each of us tightly. May God protect you, Mr. David said. With heavy hearts, we left the village, following the direction the lamp's light pointed. We walked through hills and valleys, past streams and farms. The journey was long and tiring, but the lamp never dimmed. As the sun set on the 3rd day, we reached a small town. People bustled in the streets, and the smell of roasted corn filled the air. We were dirty and weary, but hopeful. Suddenly, Lucy tugged my sleeve. James, look. Across the street, sitting by a roadside stall, was a thin woman in a faded wrapper. Her face was pale, her eyes weary, but something about her made my heart skip. Mama, Lucy whispered. The woman turned. Her eyes widened. Her lips trembled. My children. We froze. Could it be? After all these months, could we have truly found her? I stepped closer, tears blurring my vision. Mama. She stood shakily, her hands covering her mouth. James. Peter. Sarah. Lucy. Mama, we cried, running into her arms. She sobbed as she hugged us tightly, her body trembling with emotion. I thought I lost you forever. We all wept, clinging to her. The oil lamp in my hand burned brighter than ever, glowing like the sun itself. But just as we began to rejoice, a shadow fell over us. Ah. So you found her, a harsh voice said. I turned to see one of the Brickyard men standing there with 2 others, ropes in hand. Good. Now we'll take all of you back. My heart froze. Our reunion had just begun, and now danger had returned. The joy of our reunion vanished as quickly as it came. The 3 Brickyard men surrounded us, their faces filled with anger. The tallest of them sneered. "You thought you could escape us? You cost the master money. Now you'll all pay for it." Mama clutched us tightly, her body trembling. "Please," she begged. "They're just children. Let them go." The men ignored her. One stepped forward, grabbing my arm roughly. Pain shot through me. Peter tried to fight back, but another man struck him across the face, sending him sprawling into the dirt. Lucy and Sarah screamed, their small voices echoing through the busy market. People turned to look, but fear kept them silent. The Brickyard men were known for cruelty, and no one dared challenge them. I held the oil lamp tightly, whispering, "Please, help us." The flame flickered weakly, as if struggling. My heart pounded. Had its power faded? Was this the end? Mama fell to her knees. "Take me instead," she cried. "But let my children go." The leader laughed cruelly. "You'll all come. The master wants every one of you." They began to drag us away. I looked desperately at the lamp. Suddenly, the flame flared brighter, blindingly bright, bursting into a dazzling light that filled the entire street. The men cried out, covering their eyes. "What is that?" The light grew, swirling around us like a shield. People gasped and backed away. The men stumbled, shouting in terror. "It's witchcraft! Run!" They fled into the crowd, their cries fading into the distance. The light pulsed once more, then dimmed back into a steady, warm glow. Mama stared at the lamp, tears streaming down her face. "That lamp. It's not ordinary." I nodded, breathing hard. "It's from you, Mama. You gave it to me before they took us. It has saved us every time we were in danger." She reached out, her trembling hand touching mine. "Your father gave it to me before he died. He said it would protect us." I didn't believe him then, but now I know. The crowd murmured in awe. A kind-looking woman stepped forward. "You should go to the church," she said softly. "The priest there will help you. Those men won't stop until they catch you again." Mama nodded gratefully. We followed her through winding streets until we reached a small white church at the edge of town. Bells chimed softly as we entered. Inside, the air was calm and cool. Candles flickered beside wooden pews. A gentle-looking priest approached us, his eyes full of kindness. "Welcome, my children," he said. "What troubles you?" Mama told him everything. How we were taken, how we escaped, and how the lamp had guided us. The priest listened quietly, his face solemn. When she finished, he said, "You have been through a great trial. But God has watched over you through this lamp. It is a sign of His light in your darkness." He led us into a small room and gave us food, warm bread and soup. For the first time in many months, we ate together as a family. That night, we slept inside the church. The lamp burned beside us, casting a gentle golden glow. I dreamed of our old home, of Mama's laughter, and of Papa's strong arms lifting me into the air. The next morning, the priest called the town's elders together. They decided to speak with the police about the Brickyard. Soon, officers arrived and promised to investigate. Days passed. The Brickyard owners were caught and punished for their cruelty. Many other children were rescued and brought to the church. Some had tears of joy when they saw us. "You escaped," they said. "You made it." Mama hugged them. No child should ever suffer again. We stayed in the town for several weeks. Mama began working as a cleaner, and we helped in the church garden. The lamp sat by our bedside every night, glowing softly. It never burned out, no matter how many days passed. One evening, as we sat together watching the sunset, Mama said quietly, "I thought I lost everything. But this lamp, and your courage, brought us back together." Peter smiled. "We couldn't have done it without you, Mama." Lucy giggled. And without the lamp. We laughed, and for the first time, the sound was full of peace. But then, just as the laughter faded, the lamp's light changed. It flickered 3 times, then steadied into a golden beam pointing toward the hills beyond the town. I frowned. It's happening again. Mama looked at it thoughtfully. Maybe, it's showing us where we truly belong. The priest joined us, his eyes warm. Perhaps it's guiding you to your future. Light leads not only out of darkness, but toward purpose. We packed our few belongings and followed the lamp once more. The path led us through fields and streams until we reached a small, quiet village surrounded by green hills. At the center stood a kind-looking woman who ran an orphanage. She welcomed us warmly. "You can stay here," she said. "This is a home for families broken by hardship. You'll find peace here." And so we did. Mama worked in the orphanage, helping other lost children find hope again. We studied, played, and built new dreams. The oil lamp remained with us always, its glow a reminder of the love that had carried us through. Years later, as I grew older, I often told our story to others. How light guided us through darkness, how kindness saved us from cruelty, and how family is the greatest miracle of all. One day, as the sun set and I held the lamp in my hands, its light flickered softly, then, for the first time, faded out. But I wasn't afraid. Because I knew. The light was now inside us. If this story touched your heart, share it to remind others that no matter how dark life becomes, there's always a light waiting to lead us home. Many years passed after the lamp's light faded for the last time. By then, I was no longer a frightened 10-year-old. I had grown into a strong young woman, shaped by hunger, pain, courage, and hope. The memory of the brickyard, the cold nights, and the lamp that saved us never left my heart. We now lived peacefully in the small village the lamp had guided us to. Mama worked at the orphanage, helping children who had suffered like we once did. Peter and I went to school and helped Mama every evening. Lucy and Sarah played with the other children, their laughter brightening the air. Life was not easy, but it was peaceful, and for us, peace was a miracle. One afternoon, as I sat outside under a mango tree helping Sarah with her reading, a familiar sound echoed in the distance, the deep, harsh call of a wagon horn. My heart skipped. I looked up and froze. 3 men were walking down the dusty path toward the village. Even from far away, I recognized them. The Brickyard men. Panic rushed through me. My hands trembled. "Mama!" I shouted, jumping to my feet. "They've found us." Mama ran out of the orphanage, her eyes wide with fear. The other children began to cry and hide. The men entered the yard, smirking. The leader sneered. "You thought you could hide forever? The master wants his debt paid." I stepped forward, my heart pounding. "You have no power here. The police punished you. You were banished." The man laughed. "We escaped. And we don't leave debts unpaid." Mama's hands clenched into fists. "You will not take us again." They began to advance. I looked around desperately. No lamp, no magic light this time. Only us. But something inside me whispered, "You are the light now." I stood tall and called out to the villagers. They are the ones who stole children. They are the reason many cried in the night. The villagers gathered around. Some carried sticks, others stones. The men stepped back, startled by the crowd's anger. The village leader came forward, his face stern. "You have no place here. Leave now, or face the law again." The men hesitated. Then, realizing they were outnumbered, they turned and fled into the forest. A deep silence fell. Then the leader turned to me and smiled. "You faced your fear, child. You brought light where there was once darkness." Tears filled my eyes. I looked toward the sky, whispering, "Thank you, Mama's lamp. You taught me courage." That night, as the stars glittered above us, Mama and I sat together outside. The air was cool, filled with the soft sounds of crickets. "You were brave today," Mama said, her voice proud. "Your father would be proud too." I leaned against her shoulder. I wasn't brave alone. I remembered everything we went through, and how the lamp always saved us. It felt like its light was inside me. Mama smiled gently. "It is. Love, hope, and faith are lights that never die. They live within us." She held my hand. "You must always share that light, my child. There are many who still walk in darkness." And so I did. I grew into a woman who helped others, orphans, widows, children without homes. I told them our story again and again, how a small oil lamp carried us through hunger, fear, and pain. Each time I told it, I saw hope flicker in their eyes. Some even whispered, "Maybe I have a light too." Years later, I returned to the old brickyard with Peter. The buildings were gone, replaced by green fields. The chains and dust had vanished, but the memory remained. We stood together silently, then I placed a new lamp on the ground and lit it. Its small flame danced in the wind. "For the children who suffered here," I whispered. "And for those who survived." Peter nodded. "The past made us strong, but it will never bind us again." We walked away hand in hand, leaving the flame to burn, a symbol of all we had overcome. Now, as I tell you this story, I want you to remember something. You may not have an oil lamp like mine, but inside you, there is a light stronger than any flame, a light of faith, love, and courage. When life feels dark, when the world seems cruel, don't give up. Hold on. Believe in the light within you. It will lead you through the cold, the hunger, and the fear. It will show you the way home. Because sometimes, the smallest light can shine the brightest in the darkest night. Even when everything seems lost, never lose hope. Faith and love are lights that guide us through every storm. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. Let them know their light can shine too. And remember, no darkness can overcome a heart that chooses to shine.